You are listening to Housekeepers Chat by the United States Department of Agriculture from 1926. Disclaimer: this is read from a historic archive document. Do not assume content reflects current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. This broadcast was aired on the 1st of April of 1926.
What shall we have for dinner? Tradition dictates an especially good menu for Easter Sunday, a sort of celebration of the advent of spring and the passing of the lean weeks of the Lenten season. Make your house and your table festive, and treat the family to some of their favorite good things to eat. Easter flowers seem almost as important as Easter food, however, so give some thought to your centerpiece and have it as spring-like as possible. You need not go to any great expense to achieve an atmosphere reflecting the Easter spirit, for all sorts of wild flowers and early flowering shrubs are already in bloom in many places. And where they are late, there are catkins and pussy willows and green branches of some sort available if you look for them. The city housekeeper has a wide variety of Easter blossoms to choose from at the florist's, of course. If there are children in the family, you may want to use some sort of Easter basket for your centerpiece, with colored eggs and a bunny or toy chicken on guard. In this case, put flowers or pussy willows on the buffet or serving table. See that your most treasured tablecloth is ready to use, and set the table with unusual care. The difference between the way one person sets a table and the way another does it is often a matter of neatness, of silver lying parallel, and serving dishes placed exactly in front of the one who is to serve from them. The simplest rule to follow is that which requires implements which will be used with the right hand to be placed on the right of the cover or place. This usually means knives and spoons, but may include a salad fork. The meat fork, which is used in the left hand, is placed on the left. Bread and butter plates with butter spreaders go on the left, close to the tip of the fork, and the water glass with salt and pepper shakers on the right at the tip of the knife. The silver should lie parallel with the ends of the handles in a straight line about an inch from the edge of the table. Provide the suitable spoon or fork for eating each course, a large serving spoon for each vegetable, a gravy ladle, butter knife, carving set, small spoons for jelly or side dishes, and mats to protect the table from hot dishes. If you like, you can leave the dessert spoons out and have them brought in with that course. If you can get either shipped or local strawberries, surprise your family with a spring-like appetizer in the form of strawberry cup. Powdered sugar is the only dressing the berries will need after they have been hulled and washed. In passing, we might point out that not everyone knows how to wash strawberries. Hull a few berries at a time, drop them in a bowl of clean cold water, and take them out immediately. Put them to drain dry in a colander. The sand sinks to the bottom of the bowl, and the juice does not have a chance to run. Continue hulling and washing a few berries at a time. If you turn a whole quart of berries into a bowl at once, some will be watery and tasteless before all are taken out. If you put them in a colander and run water on them, the sand from those above gets on those beneath. You may not be able to get strawberries. In that case, begin the dinner with grapefruit. A cherry in the center of each adds an attractive touch. Set the glass cup or dish containing the strawberries or the half grapefruit on an underplate. The 8-inch or tea-size plate is desirable, and have this course in place when you announce dinner. For the main course, we are suggesting baked chicken with rice, spinach, giblet gravy, and one of your own good jellies. Olives or your special pickles will be both decorative and appetizing. You are no doubt an expert now in cooking rice so that it is flaky and well separated, if you have followed the directions given in these talks a few weeks ago, and also in preparing quickly cooked spinach. Set aside a little cream to blend with your spinach when you serve it. And why not have even the bread you serve just a little out of the ordinary? Graham rolls, or raisin bread, or Vienna bread, whichever kind you have not had recently, will help to make this Easter dinner a special occasion. And finally, you will convince the children that it's a party if you give them ice cream and cake for dessert. Chocolate sauce will make plain ice cream into a sundae, and angel food will be delicious with the combination. We will tell you how to make them all. Let's run over the entire menu: strawberry cup or grapefruit, baked stuffed chicken, giblet gravy, rice, creamed spinach, jelly, olives, vanilla ice cream with chocolate sauce, angel food. Today's best recipes. The Bureau of Home Economics of the United States Department of Agriculture, which supplies the menus and other material for these housekeepers' half hours, recommends the recipes that follow. Are you ready to take them down? Select a plump young chicken weighing from 4 to 5 pounds for baking. If you need a larger chicken, it would be better to get a capon or to buy two weighing 3 or 3.5 pounds each. There should be plenty of meat on the breast and thighs. The end of the breastbone should be pliable and the skin beneath the wings should break easily. A young bird will have few hairs but a good many pin feathers. The feet are soft. The butcher will usually draw the chicken for you and remove the feet, head, and oil bag. Singe the hairs if there are any, remove the pin feathers and wash thoroughly. Rub the outside of the chicken over with butter, salt, and pepper, and prepare a stuffing. The matter of wet or dry stuffing is one of universal controversy. Our own favorite is dry and is made as follows. Pull out the center of a loaf of stale bread and rub between the fingers till the crumbs are even in texture. A quart of crumbs will be about enough for a 4-pound chicken. Melt 4 tablespoons of butter in a pan and cook in it a tablespoon of minced onion till tender but not fried. Mix the melted butter and onion with the breadcrumbs. Add about a teaspoon of salt, according to taste, and a little black pepper. Add half a teaspoon of poultry seasoning, or mix sage and thyme if you like it. Here's another good stuffing for those who like the wet kind. 3 cups of finely broken stale bread, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon ground sage and thyme, more sage than thyme, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 4 tablespoons of butter, 1 tablespoon minced onion, 2 stalks of celery, chopped small, 1/4 cup of boiling water. Cook the celery and onion in butter 5 minutes. Mix with the bread, baking powder, seasonings, and hot water, and fill the cavity in the chicken, putting a part in the space formerly occupied by the crop. Sew up the cavities and start the chicken in a hot oven with a temperature of 450 degrees Fahrenheit with a cup of hot water to keep it from drying out. Reduce the temperature as the chicken begins to brown. Baste frequently. Bake from an hour to an hour and a half if the chicken is tender. The giblets are put through the food chopper and simmered in another pan while the chicken is baking. The liquor used to baste the chicken should be added to the giblets in making the gravy. A good ice cream may be made at home by allowing 2 tablespoons of sugar and half a teaspoon of vanilla to each cup of cream used. A small amount of salt, about 1/4 of a teaspoon in a quart of ice cream, should be added. To make hot chocolate sauce, put 2 ounces or squares of unsweetened chocolate in the double boiler. Melt, cover with half a cup of hot water, and add 1 tablespoon of butter and 1.5 cups of sugar. Stir until smooth and cook to a rich syrup. This will take about 15 minutes. It should be served at once if possible. If the housekeeper is also a cook, the sauce must be kept warm, but not allowed to cook while the rest of the dinner is being eaten. Angel food requires a good many egg whites, but is not extravagant at this season. The ingredients are 1 cup of soft wheat flour, 1 cup of egg whites, the whites of 8 fairly large eggs, 1 to 1.5 cups of sugar, half teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon vanilla or lemon flavoring, 1 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Angel food is mixed in a slightly different way than plain sponge cake. The sugar, flour, and half the salt are sifted together several times. The egg whites are beaten with the other half of the salt until they are frothy. Then the cream of tartar is added, and they are beaten until stiff. The dry ingredients are then folded carefully into the beaten egg whites, and when the mixture is partly blended, the flavoring is added. Only the folding motion should be used in mixing, for stirring tends to release the air depended on for leavening. A smooth tube pan is best for baking angel food, and a fairly large cake will require about an hour in an oven at a temperature of 125 degrees Fahrenheit. It may be tested in the same way as any other cake, by means of a clean toothpick. Questions women are asking. Question: I know that spinach is very good for my family, but none of us seem to like it. Can you tell me how to cook it so that we will find it appetizing? Answer: perhaps you have overcooked your spinach until it lost its bright green color, pleasing texture, and fresh flavor. If cooked too long, spinach takes on a dark olive hue, develops a strong flavor, and becomes almost like pulp. People can hardly be blamed for not liking such spinach. Overcooking also injures the food value of spinach. The long boiling draws out the iron, calcium, and other minerals and destroys the vitamins. Try your family with spinach cooked for 10 to 15 minutes in just the water that clings to the leaves after you've washed it thoroughly. Then, just as it begins to be tender, chop it very fine and season it with plenty of butter, or better still, cream. A hotel in Washington is becoming famous for its special spinach, quickly cooked and combined with just enough cream to moisten it and give a rich flavor. Question: why is my cake good one week and unsatisfactory next time, although I follow the same recipe? Answer: this is a difficult question to answer, because a cake failure may depend on any one or a combination of several things. For instance, some of your materials may not have been just up to par, or slightly different from those called for in the recipe. You may have varied your method of mixing. The oven may have been too hot or not hot enough. Or what often happens, you may not have measured accurately. Following the recipe may mean that the closely packed cup of flour one day is a loosely filled cup the next, that the baking powder spilled in the mixing bowl is guessed to be a teaspoonful when it is really much more, or that some other inaccuracy in measurement accounts for a large part of the difference in results. In modern cookbooks and in all farmers' bulletins issued by the United States Department of Agriculture, all quantities are given in level measurements unless otherwise specified. 3 teaspoons equal a tablespoon. 16 tablespoons fill a standard cup, the kind marked off on the sides to show half and quarter cups and sometimes thirds. 4 cups make a quart. Flour, except graham or whole wheat, should always be sifted once before measuring and then dipped lightly into the measure and leveled. If it is packed into the measure, too much will be used. A table knife or other straight edge should be used to level sugar, salt, flour, and other dry ingredients. Question: we hear so much about counting the calories in the foods we eat. Are calories a measure of the nutritive value of a food? Answer: calories are a measure of the fuel or energy value of a food. There are other points about the food value of any material just as, or sometimes more important than the calories it contains. In judging the nutritive value of any food, the amount and quality of the protein, the vitamins, the iron, calcium, and other minerals that it contains should be considered just as carefully as the calories. Question: how can I get the bulletins on household subjects issued by the United States Department of Agriculture? Answer: you can get bulletins on foods and nutrition and various other home economics topics free by writing to the Office of Publications, United States Department of Agriculture, Washington, D.C. The free supplies of bulletins become exhausted occasionally, however, and then it is generally possible to buy a copy of the bulletin desired from the Superintendent of Documents of the Government Printing Office for a nominal sum, generally 5 or 10 cents. Question: what is the most reliable method for the home canning of non-acid vegetables? Answer: asparagus, string beans, corn, spinach, and the other non-acid vegetables the United States Department of Agriculture believes should be processed in steam under pressure at temperatures higher than can be obtained in a water bath. The time and temperatures vary from 40 minutes at 10 pounds pressure, 240 degrees Fahrenheit for quart glass jars of asparagus, to 80 minutes at 15 pounds pressure, 250 degrees Fahrenheit for corn in the same size containers, according to the timetables for home canning given in Miscellaneous Circular 24, issued by the United States Department of Agriculture. These times are based on a hot pack. In hot pack canning, the vegetables are cooked in a small amount of water to shrink them and are packed boiling hot, and the jars put at once into the canner. Question: what is the distinction between curing and fermentation as applied to vegetables treated in brine? Answer: curing refers to the changes which vegetables undergo in brine as a result of osmosis, by which brine largely takes the place of the vegetable juices, with resulting changes in cellular structure. Fermentation relates to the action of certain bacteria in changing the sugar content of the vegetable juices into acids and other end products. In a weak brine, 5% or less bacteria are not inhibited, and the process is largely a fermentation. In a moderately strong brine, 10%, both processes go on about equally. In a strong brine, 15% or over bacteria are inhibited, and the process is almost entirely a salt cure. Question: what constitutes the best cover for the surface in making pickles? Answer: circular boards about 1 inch in thickness and 2 inches less in diameter than the inside of the receptacle in which they are used. These should be made of oak or other hard woods, never a yellow or pitch pine. Before use, they should be dipped in melted paraffin and then well burned over with a flame. This fills the pores of the wood, thereby making them more easily kept clean and rendering them incapable of absorbing substances which make them foul.
This production was researched and produced by BreakAway Empire LLC.